a dreamer in her early childhood. She now views life through the lens of activism.
When you think of activism, you think of protests. Large groups of people gathered together peacefully to fight for what they believe in.
Poca happens to know her because, well, they are sisters, and both are determined to make this a better world for all. Angélique Hunkar. Friday, March 31st at 6 p.m. CET. PocaTV Live. It's that time of month. It is PocaTV Live, Season 3, Episode 2. And my very special guest is human resources expert, lecturer, activist, and my very own sister, Angélique Hunkar. Let's get this show on the road, people.
Give me this. Give me that. Give me this. Give me that.
Well, hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? I, for one, am doing pretty fine today. This is Season 3, Episode 2 of PocaTV Live. I am Poca, which stands for People of Common Attitude. Today, it is my great pleasure to let you know that, well, as usual, it's the last Friday of the month, so we are live. And I thank you for joining this program. My special guest today is HR expert. She's a lecturer, she's an activist, and she's my very own sister, Angélique Hunkar. And she's got a great story to tell, especially about activism. And we're going to get into that as soon as we can. But in the meantime, while you are here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow the Facebook page. You know how it goes, people. And of course, hit the like button if ever there's a moment in this program that you actually do like. Which you can also tell me by writing a comment in the comment section, either on YouTube or on Facebook. And I will see that here in my studio and maybe pull one or two of them up and, ask Angélique to comment on them. But before we get into that, you know that we always start these programs with a livication to my youngest sister, because my guest today is Angélique. She's the sister above me. My youngest sister, Aisha, who is no longer with us. And on this picture, you can see the three of us. On the left is me. In the middle is Angélique, who you will meet in just a couple of minutes. And on the right is Aisha. Yes, Aisha passed away 12 years ago, almost. Next month, that will be 12 years. And this is one of the pictures that show what an active person she was, because she was really quite ill already at this moment, but she was forever organizing stuff. Especially for the whole family to get together. So this was one of those weekends that she rented a place where you could either rent a little cottage or put up your tent or just come, one day and go back home. But we were all there and we baked pizzas and, she stayed there with her child and with some friends. And I think there were about 30 or 40 of us there. So that was Aisha organizing all kinds of stuff, even when she was very ill already. And we will forever remember her for that. There's a little something I'll tell you about Aisha at the end of the program. So stay tuned. Watch this whole program with me if you wish to. So yes, in memoriam, Aisha Hunkar, forever in our hearts and never forgotten. A shout out, as usual, to my regular viewers. How are you doing? Remember, I do like it when you comment in the section and make me know that you are even watching. But there's plenty of stuff, contents-wise, to comment on today. So I'll be hoping to see you in the comment section as soon as you get there. Welcome also to new people. There must be a couple of you there, people who I don't know, but who know Angélique and who have told me on Facebook and on LinkedIn and even on Twitter that they'll be watching. So welcome to you, new people. Like I was saying, every last Friday of the month, I do a live program called PocaTV Live, in which I shine a bright light on my fabulous people all across the world and share with you the wonderful stuff that they do to make this a better world for all of us to live in. So welcome to the new people, and welcome, of course, to the people watching the rerun. For them, this next message will not count. I'm putting up a QR code right now that you can scan with your telephone horizontally, people, like this, not like that. Scan it like that. You'll see the, you open your camera, scan the thing, and you'll see a link come up on your screen, which you press, and that will take you to my studio. All you need to do is give permission for your microphone and your camera to be used, enter your name, and press the button that says Enter Studio, and you will be behind the scenes in the orange room waiting for me to actually pull you up in this program, in this stream. So that's for people watching on smaller devices. For those of you watching on your laptop and still want to participate, I actually prefer it if you come on your laptop. Just put in this URL, it will take you to that same stream, and you put in your name and you put in your whatever and enter the studio and wait for me to pull you up in the stream. If you do use your laptop, Chrome is by far the best browser. Just giving you a heads up. So hoping to see some of you here. And if you don't come here, well, that's your chance gone. That's how it goes in life. You either do it live or you can just watch the rest when you're watching a rerun. So let's see. It's high time to introduce to you my dear sister, Angélique. And just like myself, she hails from the Netherlands right now. I know last month I was still in Jamaica, but money needs to be made, so I'm back here. And I've got some pretty good stuff coming up, so don't worry about me. Angélique, like myself, is in the Netherlands, and she has a story to tell, so let's welcome her. Hi there, Angélique. Welcome to PocaTV Live.
Hello there.
How are you today?
A little bit nervous, but that can be expected, I think. But looking forward to a great conversation with you.
Well, thank you for being my guest. I really appreciate it. I know you are a very humble person and you don't like the spotlights on you. But as long as you and I have been sisters, which is quite a long time, I've been saying I need to put a spotlight on you. So today is my chance. All right?
Right.
You'll forgive me. You'll forgive me one day. You might even like this.
I've already forgiven you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So what I do every month, Angélique, is I show my new guest a little clip of the guest that was last month. And last month is a common friend, a friend that you and I share, Frederike Geerdink, who is an expert on everything that goes with the Kurdish population in the Middle East and in the rest of the world. I remember you watched quite a bit of that. So here's a little clip that I'd like you to comment on. Here it comes.
Like, if you look at the world that we live in and that we sort of take for granted, we have capitalism, we have nation states. Part of the world is getting richer and richer, a bigger part of the world is getting poorer and poorer. And the planet is dying. It's terrible.
And it's all interlinked.
But imagine if we didn't have that. Imagine we were taking care of our nature, of the planet. Imagine there was no racism. Imagine there was no nation states and borders. People were not drowning in the Mediterranean Sea and in the Channel to England. And, there was no climate change anywhere. People were equal, and there was no filthy rich people, and there were no very poor people. Everybody could eat. And imagine you were in that world, and then you would say, okay, we're going to do this system, and we're going to this system is going to make a few people on the planet extremely rich, extremely rich, and a whole lot of people, like the big majority of the people in the world, can't even find food anymore. And this portion of people is growing all the time. And the planet is going to be destroyed. And nobody would say, like, hey, good plan, that's what you're going to do. But that's what we lived
That's
in,
what we did. That's what we did. Yeah, that's exactly what we did. Forgive me, I meant to put in a little disclaimer so people weren't alarmed about the face. As you can see, it has completely cleared up. I fell on my face in Jamaica, and you saw the face. But all that's left of it is this little thingy here and this little thingy here. So I'm fine. All right, people. Sorry about not putting in the disclaimer. Angélique, I'm sure you can resonate with what Frederike had to say.
I can totally relate, and the things that she's discussing are exactly the things that, well, I maybe sometimes keep me awake at night.
Do they?
Well, yes, they do, because I get so completely angry about it that there's too much adrenaline in my body sometimes, and then I think of these things, and then yeah, I have a trouble sleeping then.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you make of what she says, that we had kind of a perfect world and then we chose the system that we've been going with? What do you make of that?
Well, I'm not sure if we ever had a perfect world. What people keep saying is that we need to have a system because we need to regulate stuff, and capitalism is still the best system by far. And I don't know if I agree with that, because people when people talk about communism, for instance, they come with examples like Russia and like China. But in my view, that has nothing to do with communism. That's just another, guy who's aiming for power, misusing the system to better himself. So
It's patriarchy.
it's definitely patriarchy, and I don't patriarchy manifests itself in any system. So if we really want to change stuff, we have to get rid of patriarchy, and that's more difficult. That's probably the most difficult problem that we have. When I was preparing for today, I was thinking, well, capitalism, and indeed any system, it really is a wicked problem, because it connects to so many aspects of daily life. Capitalism connects to inequality, it connects to colonialism, it connects to racism, to climate abuse, to globalization, to, I mean, just to name a few. And
Right.
and because it's so interconnected, which you already said in that short clip, it makes it really difficult to change. And the problem is that in order to change stuff, the people that are in power will need to change. And how do you do that?
We kill them off.
That's a good example. I attended. This is a short sidestep. I attended a lecture by a lecture by Anton van Rossum yesterday evening for the Republikeinse Genootschap, of which the whole Van den Berg family is well, maybe not member, but they sympathize. And
That's your husband's family.
That's my husband's family, and one of his uncles was actually a Republican, a staunch Republican, and he died. And every year they have a lecture. And last night was Anton van Rossum who suggested exactly that. Maybe we should just kill them all off. It's probably the only way to get rid of them.
Well, people are always saying that the world is overpopulated. So if we know who to get rid of,
exactly,
it's just an idea. It's just an idea.
Yeah. Well. In that same vein, because it's such a small problem, I don't think killing them off will solve the overpopulation of the world.
Well, in the long run, it will. But I digress now. I really do. I really do. So, Angelique, as usual, no. Before we get to your youth, because you know how it goes. You've watched one or two of these programs. I'm going to take you through your whole life, but let's have a quick look in the comment section. I am seeing our dear brother Melvin, who is watching, and I'm seeing DJ Conscious, who is watching locked on. Hi there, everybody, and our eldest sister is there as well. So we've got our bases covered for now. We got the three main people watching, and that's great. So let's dive straight into this, taking you all the way back to early childhood. You send me some pictures, and of course, I did some digging myself. So here are some pictures. This is you, early 1960s in Suriname, mom and dad, and our two eldest siblings, Melvin and Adrienne. What is it you would like to say about those days?
Well, the thing is, I have a very, very bad memory. So anything I have to say about these pictures is stories I've heard. But I chose the first one because I look so completely pleased with myself over there. And Mama always said that because by this time you were born and I was having trouble accepting not being the youngest anymore. And Mom always said that this was my little moment to get attention because frankly, I was probably a lot jealous of you at the time.
Well, there's a 2 year gap between the two of us. It's only
Yeah.
natural that you are jealous at that age, but you never really showed it. So
No,
that's good.
and we we how do I say that? We got along like a house on fire later on, right?
Yes, we definitely did. We were two peas in a pod for many, 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 many years. So that's you. Extremely cute baby, I must say.
Thank
What,
you.
and what do you say yourself? I mean, if it weren't you, how would you comment on this young child?
Well, I look happy.
Mhm.
Uh, I look well fed, and in the right picture, I look like I'm part of a small not family, a community, or whatever. Um, I love the way Adrienne is holding me and with her gaze up there, like she doesn't, like wow.
Yeah,
And that car on Melvin's head is hilarious.
I think we were a cute bunch of children.
We
I think
were,
it's
yeah,
fair to say, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to all of this is early 1960s in Suriname, where we were all born, all the Hunkar children, except for Adrienne, who was born in the Netherlands, but the rest of us were all born in Suriname
Hmm.
in a time when the flag was still the one on the left with the
Exactly.
five
Yeah,
stars.
yeah.
Now it's the one star on the
On
right.
the right.
This is what Suriname used to look like in the 1960s. These pictures come from Daddy's slides. Remember
Hmm.
slides?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember slides. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say we had quite a lovely childhood. Would you agree?
totally, totally.
Hmm.
Only have fun memories of our childhood,
Yeah.
and the stuff our parents organized and did with us, and having friends over all the time, and playing
Hmm.
around in the neighborhood, and being gone all day, and coming back at the end of the day, sometimes a little bit late, and that would put on his little show of uh, preparing to punish us, which he never did, and just put the fear of God in us, and
But it worked.
it
It worked.
worked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found some happy memories of us. That's mom with the four of us, the elder children. So
yeah.
this not does not yet include Aisha.
Good,
Aisha came
Aisha. No, it
6 years
doesn't.
after me.
No,
The one in the middle is when we were on a holiday in Trinidad. Remember that? I
I
was so
remember
afraid of
that.
the water.
No, and that dad over there with his little train of kiddos.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I actually have active, like our prime minister says. I actually have active memories of that vacation.
you do.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is
Especially our camping on the beach.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So, which is what we did.
yeah,
That's a camping picture. It's not necessarily one in Trinidad, but we did quite a lot of camping when we were children.
we
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
yeah. Focusing a bit more on yourself. These are childhood pictures that either you sent or mom sent. So, the way I know you, but it's your show, so you can comment. You were not a very boisterous child. You were a very serious child. And I think I'm seeing that in these pictures as well. But it's your turn to talk.
Yeah, I think I was a very serious child. I was not like you said. Don't I don't like being in the spotlight. I like to observe from afar and then give an opinion, which I always have, because it's not that I'm shy. It's not that I don't have anything to say. It's just that I come and I go and do my thing, and I sometimes I'm invisible, sometimes I'm the life of the party. So it really changes according to my mood. But I think I was a quiet, studious, serious child. Yes.
And
Yeah.
kind of a genius child too, because the picture of you sitting at that little school desk,
Yeah.
you weren't supposed to be in school yet. But mom said, okay, go ahead and go for a day and see how you like it. And you didn't want to go home.
I didn't want to go home. It was I think that the story is that mom brought Melvin, and Melvin and I are 1 year apart, and Melvin was ready for school,
Mhm.
and we dropped him off, and I didn't want to go home either. I wanted to stay.
And so you
Yeah.
did.
And so I did, and that is something that I find so fascinating, because I don't think that would ever happen in this country, for instance,
Why?
because rules are rules.
Oh,
You're not ready, so go home. And they humored me, and everything turned out fine.
well, in fact, but we'll get to that later. It turned out more than fine, even. Um, this is early childhood. By the way, that's me in the third picture. It's sitting in the pram,
And Adrienne sitting next to
sitting
you. Yeah.
next to me. Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, you love dolls. I was kind of everybody's doll, maybe in those years.
Yep.
Yeah, but this is Suriname, as I was saying. But the Hunkar family did quite a lot of traveling.
Yep.
And we're going to not go extensively into all of it, but let's just pause and look at how that went. Like I said, you and I were born in Suriname. When I was 6, you were 8. We moved to Malaysia for 2 years, and then back to Suriname for a year and a half. Then it was Brazil for 3 years and Tunisia for 4 years. And that's when you and I left school and came to the Netherlands to continue our education. So that's the
Yep.
world map, the Hunkar family world map. And the first picture I'd like to share with you of those travels is when we were in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So you were 8 to 10 in
Yeah.
those years. Oh, what kind of girl do you see when you look at these pictures?
Hmm. Uh, I don't know. I think I look a little. I look happy. I look relaxed. I'm having fun with Aisha over there,
Yeah.
and I love that middle photo where I'm posing and pretending that I'm very well, intellectual and serious and
Which you are.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
uh,
gorgeous picture. You didn't share it with me. I got
I
that.
didn't. That's
I
true.
needed it to be in the program. And there on the right we see you with what? What's going on in
Well,
that picture?
on the right, I was with my friend Karin, staying over at her place, and we always dressed up as princesses. So
Oh,
that's me as a princess.
how did that work out for you, being
Well,
a princess?
I don't think I would really like to be a princess.
But you did like the dress, I
I
guess.
did like the dress, and I liked acting up, and I liked playing with her, and we had a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still do any of that, the acting stuff?
No, not really.
No,
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 no.
no. Maybe you should pick it up at some point.
All this. I always think that somewhere hidden inside me is a great actress, but I never had the courage.
I will make sure it happens before it's too late, because I know you're right. There is an actress hidden, and an artist, pur sang.
And an
So
artist. Yeah,
let that
that's
person
also
out.
my art.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So in Malaysia, we went to the Good Shepherd Convent School. That's when we first had education in a different language from ours. Do you remember that school at all?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was a good school, wasn't it?
It was a good school, and I remember well, the things that stand out of that period are the white shoes that we had. You know, you had to with cal with how do you call that stuff? Um,
Kiwi. We
no,
had to
kalk.
whiten.
We
Yeah,
had to
it's
whiten them. Yeah,
yeah, but
kiwi is the
yeah,
product, right? We had to whiten the
exactly.
shoes. I remember that, and I remember every day, the start of school, that we had the school in the school assembly, that we had a collective start of the day. Um, I remember we had to go to confession once in a while. Remember that?
I do, and that's very
Yeah.
traumatic for me because I never could come up with anything to confess.
I had that same problem, and then I've invented stuff just to get away, because it was unthinkable that you had nothing to be ashamed of, or no
Right.
sins. And yeah, and
Yeah, quite
I think
traumatic.
I think we were pretty innocent kids, and all of us, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Those were
yeah,
different times. Children were real children at the time.
yeah.
Does that sound crazy when I say that?
No, not at all, not at
No.
all. No,
And
no.
like you say, the innocence is definitely,
Yeah, yeah,
that's what you did. You went to school, you went to your sports thing and your
yeah,
ballet, and
yeah,
you went home, and
yeah,
that was it.
yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
was no internet and all of those things that are, I don't know, something's happening to our youth.
Well, I think they get our youth are confronted with stuff that they're not ready for, and so that they
Exactly.
grow up way too fast.
Yeah.
And in a certain way, and in other ways, they are as immature as can be. And I think in other ways we were more mature than them, but in some ways, especially in the ways of the world, let's put it that way, they are
Right.
way too mature, way too young.
Yeah.
It's
True.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
Adrienne sent us a blast from the past. Remember, we used to have to
Good
say
morning,
all the
Sid.
children, good morning, mothers and teachers, but we didn't speak English yet. So we used to say good morning, mothers and peaches. That's a good
Yeah.
memory. Yeah, that's a good memory, Adrienne. And
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, and Annemieke also remembers inventing sins to confess from her mom.
oh, yeah, there
That's
she is,
yeah,
Annemieke.
yeah,
Thanks for joining,
yeah.
Annemieke. Yeah. And little did they know that making us come up with confessions was actually very sinful, because that means we were telling a lie. But then that means the next confession you could say, last confession, I told a lie.
You know, I never did that. Did you?
No, I no, I kept saying the same thing every time.
Yeah.
I lied to my mother the second time, and I lied to my mother for the third time, and I don't know where it ended, but I lied a lot to my mom. You're watching, I know that. Sorry, I lied to you so much, but it was only about a cookie in the cookie jar. Trust me. Yeah.
Uh,
Another
the
memory.
yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, another memory was going out in the countryside of Malaysia, where Dad used to work and live during the week.
Yep.
And this is the only picture of all the 5 Hunkar siblings together. Do you remember being there in Tekam in Malaysia?
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember that, and I remember driving over there several times,
Mm,
and that one time when we had that flood comes to mind, especially, of course.
yeah,
Um,
a
uh,
big flood. Many people died,
Huge flood.
and
Yes,
we
many
were
flood.
stranded. We were supposed to go for 2 or 3 days, and we stayed there for 2 weeks because we just couldn't get back.
And to me, the miracle of that period is that mom and dad somehow managed to make it seem like a one big adventure, and none of us were afraid. And I always remember, I keep telling this story to people, that you cross a bridge, and half an hour later it's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure if mom knew that the flood was incoming when we were driving over there. Do you?
I don't know. Maybe mom send us a comment, mom, so we know. I don't think she. I think she knew there was a lot of rain coming, but not that it was going to be this huge deluge, which it was.
Yeah.
And I do remember we were saved in the end by helicopter. That was my first helicopter
Absolutely.
ride.
A
Yeah,
Chinook. Yeah.
yeah. Was it a Chinook, really?
Yes, I was a Chinook. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. So great memories. So
Yeah.
that's what I found of our life in Malaysia. And like I said, after that we went back for a year and a half into Suriname, which neither of us liked at all. So we're gonna skip that. And from there we went to Brazil, which was a whole different ball game. Tell us about your Brazil memories.
Living close to the beach, you and I getting up early in the morning and walk to the beach and fall asleep there and wake up with, when the sun rises and the beach started to fill up. I remember our school. I loved our school over there. We did
American school?
American School of Recife. We did all these extracurricular activities. I remember we went to the beach sometimes for PE, for physical education. I remember that we participated in state games, all of us,
Yeah,
and
yes.
especially Melvin was held the world youth record for so many years on the long jump. Uh, I did hurdles. I mean,
You
me hurdles. I participated in hurdles and in the high jump as well, and it was a great time. Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is when, like I said, you were a genius child. It manifested here because at some point you kind of skipped a class or half a class. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I skipped a whole year. I went from seventh grade to ninth grade,
Right.
and it wasn't at the beginning of the year. It was, I think, maybe it was in the first quarter or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, and the funny thing is, I never noticed. It wasn't that I had to work extra hard when after I skipped that, and there was three of us, Alice, me, and Brian, were always competing for first place. And so there were three really studious kids in my class in ninth grade, and
Yeah.
maybe that was another reason they. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now. Maybe that was
Huh.
another reason that they put me in that class because I remember in the class I was before that there weren't any studious kids. There weren't anybody to challenge me, and Alice and Brian both did. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked out pretty well because I mean you coped perfectly well
yeah.
and did really well in
I did
school.
really well in school. Yeah,
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
yeah,
So lovely life in Brazil. I have very fond
yeah,
memories myself,
yeah.
and it's really nice to be back in touch with some people from those years. And
Yeah, first love's
after,
also in Brazil. Yeah, for me,
sorry,
my first love in Brazil was also in Brazil. And we were at of that age that
yeah,
you used to
I,
have
I,
your
wa-
first relationship.
I was very late with all of that, and
Yeah,
I stopped very early with all of that. But I do remember you being totally in love with Gus and
yeah.
him being in love with you, and that was lovely. He even came to visit us when we moved to the next
Into the
country,
true.
which was Tunisia. That was you. You weren't sure when this picture was taken, but I was. Uncle Lam took this picture. That's why I know
I know that he took it, but I didn't know when. But
it. This
I
is in
remember
Tunisia.
I remember that what I'm wearing over there. So you're probably right. This is probably
Yeah,
Tunisia. Yeah,
it's too hot to be Brazil anyway.
yeah,
So what you're
yeah,
wearing, yeah.
yeah.
And like I was saying, your first love came to visit you in Tunisia to see you. You didn't much like Tunisia. In fact,
No.
maybe it's not the country you didn't like, but you were kind of tired of all this traveling around, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I was like Mom always said. I was always the last one to learn a new language. I was always the last one to to get to grips with moving to the next country. I had more trouble saying goodbye than the rest of you, I think.
Yeah,
And and also probably because, like I said, it's probably linked to my first love, that you move and then you have to leave the person that you feel absolutely comfortable with. And
right.
I
Yeah,
think that maybe may have played a part in why I had so much trouble adapting in Tunisia. Yeah.
yeah. And you were a very strong-minded person. I think we can see that in the look in your eyes. That hasn't changed much, has it?
Nope. Nope.
No.
Nope.
How does your how do the people surrounding you feel about that?
Well, they accept it. And they learn to live with it. No,
Yeah.
I have, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm strong-minded. Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
Hmm.
I know what I want and what I don't want, and I'm highly capable of articulating that. And yeah, and well, I have a partner who can deal with it, and
Yeah. That
yeah,
that is great because
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can totally understand that. But today is one of those days where you do not have everything the way you want it, because there's one small part in this program that's all mine. That's the part where, well, let's just start the part.
On the spot. 5 quick questions to...
Yes, it's called On the Spot 5 Quick Questions to, and today it's 5 quick questions to Angélique. I'm sure you've seen this segment before, Angélique. I got 5 quick questions and you get to choose from the answers I give you.
Okay.
And at the end of the whole thing, 1 or 2, depending on the time, we're running late already, 1 or 2 you get to elaborate on. All right, so are you ready for this, Angélique? Can you be honest and quick and decisive?
Let's do this.
All right, let's go. Question number 1. Do you consider yourself to be Dutch or Surinamese?
More Dutch.
Dutch. Would you rather be in the Netherlands or abroad?
For now, the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, okay. Now we get into the nitty-gritty. The Dutch overestimate themselves, yes or no?
Yes.
Democracy as we know it is a total farce, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, you're good at this. The last question, question number 5. What is the one thing, Angélique Hunkar, that you would never, ever, 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 ever do again?
God. I can't think of anything.
Fine.
Is that an answer?
No, that's not an answer. You have to come up with something.
Waste. When it's avoidable.
That's a very politically correct answer, and we
No,
will
but it's
take
very,
it.
but it is also true.
Because you feel you've been very wasteful in the past.
No, but well, we've all been very wasteful in the past, but I try to mind waste, and whenever I can avoid it, I avoid the waste.
Okay, great. Lessons learned. You know what it's all about.
And
Is
I'll
there
probably
any-
think of something other more meaningful, but sorry.
I think it's very meaningful. Is there one other question you would like to elaborate on, of the ones that I asked you?
Yeah, about what I feel more, if I'm more Dutch or more Surinamese.
And you said.
And
Dutch.
I said Dutch, but it's I feel linked to this country. I feel at home in this country, but whenever I'm amongst Surinamese people, it has that extra thing.
What extra thing?
I feel more connected to them. I feel more connected to Surinamese people. Yeah.
Do you feel more at ease with them in any way?
Not necessarily. But I do feel more connected. And why do I not always feel more at ease with them? Because my belief system is sometimes so different, and my experience so much different from theirs that that it could make me feel awkward.
I get that. That. So it's more nuanced than just saying you're either Dutch or you're Surinamese. It's a bit of both.
It's a bit of both, and I've come to realize these last couple of years that I'm not so much Dutch as I'm from Amsterdam, because I'm the big city where there is diversity, where there are people around looking like me, I feel at home there. But if I go to Lutjebroek, I don't feel at home there at all.
And why is
Um,
that?
because I feel like a monkey in the zoo.
Really? A
Yes.
monkey in you. Hold that thought, because we
Yeah.
are getting to the part of the program where we actually going to talk about your life in the Netherlands. Uh, 1980, I believe it was, when you came to the Netherlands. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you went to the university at that time. Tell us about those years.
I always say that I was at the university, and not that I studied anything at the university, because I never got much around to studying. I studied political science at the University of Nijmegen, but I got caught up very early in social life. And the picture on the left there is me at the local student pub, where I very successfully worked my way into the regular staff. Um, uh, for one, there were almost only guys at the bar there, and I just kept nagging the boss until he finally gave in, and I was an excellent bartender.
Were you?
I was,
Did
yeah.
did you get a lot of tips?
I got a lot of tips, and I got my regular customers that came to the pub, especially to see me. And I was a good worker, a quick worker. Yeah, I think he was fairly happy with me. Yeah,
Good. Can you
yeah.
still what do you call it? Pull a beer? What do you call that? Can you still
Mm,
serve a beer?
Draft? You mean a
Yeah,
draft? Yeah.
draft. Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I think it's been a long time. It was a long time ago that I tried it for the last time, but I went at it like a pro. Like I never stopped doing it. So
Great.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's something you forget how to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the right, we see you with the women rugby team. You and I both played rugby,
Yep. I was
but
inspired by you.
but you played in the champion team. I played in some little team that, we never got much. We had two fanatical players, Mia and myself, and the rest just ran along and
Yeah.
couldn't catch the ball. What do you remember of playing rugby? Why did you love it so much? Because you did.
Because it wasn't. It was how do you say it in English? Stoer. It was.
Um,
Mm,
some, mm,
yeah, it wasn't a
cool.
girly sport.
Yeah.
We're real gals here,
Hmm.
um and it was fun. It
Yeah.
was fun traveling all over Holland, because there were only a handful of teams. So you had to travel from Middelburg up to Groningen if you wanted to play other teams. So
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Holland in those times,
Right.
and I really liked that.
And
And
your team, like I said, kept winning stuff. You were a really great team.
we were in the top three, I think, of the Netherlands, which isn't saying much. Like I said, there weren't that many, but
No, but still,
I
but
don't
still.
remember ever being champion though. I think we Umumunu, you
Ulum,
remember?
umumulu, umumulu.
Umumunu in Middelburg,
Yeah,
they usually beat their whooped their asses, but those
yeah,
were
well,
big girls.
yeah.
Yeah,
The elephant in this room, I very diligently circled your face, but I could have done without, because you are the only black
only black
person
girl.
on
Yeah,
that picture. In
true,
fact, in those years, you and I were the only black people anywhere we came, right?
true. Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
And we will continue that conversation, because it,
yeah.
it has what would you like to say?
Now I would like to say that funny thing is I wasn't aware of it at the time. I wasn't
Ah,
aware of my blackness at the time. That came
mm-hmm.
later. That came much later.
Much later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
in fact, I remember in the mark that there were people that were complaining to me about those foreigners, and I remember feeling uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, it never I never thought it was about me, and I don't think it was about me at that moment either. So
Mm-mm.
um yeah, the awareness came much later.
Much later. We'll get to awareness. Yeah, so that's those student years. And pretty soon your career started. You were always in, let me call it, corporate kind of work
Yes.
in the early years.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are we seeing here in these two pictures?
This is a picture of me having fun in Cairo, and behind me you can see my boyfriend later on. We weren't dating then, but later on we were
Yeah.
with McKinsey and Company. We went on a retreat every 4 years or something like that, and this one, it was in Cairo, uh, and this was on a boat, and we had a great dinner, and looks like I was drinking water over there, and
And still
smoking.
smoking,
Yeah,
which you don't
yeah.
do anymore. I will not comment on my own habits, but you don't smoke anymore. And to the right is you, I believe, in your own front yard.
No,
That's
that's
no,
in the, Jacob's parents, my then boyfriend's parents' house in Apkoude.
in Apkoude. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, what kind of young woman were you then? Were you happy? Were you satisfied with the way things were going?
I was I was not engaged at the time. I mean, in social and cultural issues, not at
Mm-mm.
all. I was just living a life, being very Dutch, and maybe Dutcher than Dutch, and uh, not aware of making a career, going to work, totally oblivious of everything going around.
Yeah. So you felt like any Dutch person, you just had to live your life, be happy, and not be concerned about stuff in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you did, and you did really well. This is
True.
you preparing for another voyage.
Yes. This was, I think, the 50th anniversary of the independence of Indonesia, and there was this uh, there was a Dutch delegation, a trade delegation, would be visiting Indonesia during that time,
Mhm.
and the person organizing that hired me to help her prepare for that, for the whole ceremony and everything, and I actually went to Indonesia with her to prepare for those celebrations, from the Dutch trade, trade, how do you call that, trade group?
Association.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
trade.
So
And this
that,
is
that
me in Lunteren
Mhm.
in her garden and preparing for that. Yeah,
Right. That must have been very, very exciting.
it was,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's not this person you're talking about, but I know that
No.
she plays a large role in your life. Tell us about Alexandra.
Well, Alexandra and I, we were colleagues, and actually, she doesn't really at the moment. She's on my mind, but we haven't spoken in I don't know how long. And every time we sometimes we touch base on Facebook, and we say we have to get together again. And Alexandra just retired. She's a teacher like me, and I think now is probably the time to really act on that. And
Yeah.
but we were good. We got along pretty good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything specific in life that I don't know, that she changed your mind about something or put you on a certain path in your life, or were you just good friends and colleagues?
I think we were just good friends and colleagues, and
Mhm.
I liked. Yeah, she was fun to be with, and she was level-headed, and she. Well, you can see that she
Yeah.
she sometimes reminded me a bit of Tante Shan, and yeah,
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 Auntie Shan.
yeah,
Yes, may she rest in peace.
yeah, yeah.
Cracking picture of you, by the way. You look fantastic in that picture. You really do. So now that we've seen a bit about what your career was before you went and did what you do now, and we have touched on it slightly. This is us, black women, not too conscious about that at the time, living in the white world.
Yeah.
And I'd like to share with you a video with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do you know who he is? The
Yes, yes,
astrophysicist who does
exactly.
that
Yeah,
the great program Cosmos, a space-time odyssey. And he, at some point, found out he was black. And this is what happened.
I go to high school and I take extra science classes and extra math classes and advanced calculus and all this stuff. And I go to college. And I was athletic in high school and college. I wrestled, by the way. So there was another guy on the team who was my weight. We were the same weight. He was a senior. Talented fellow, majoring in economics. In fact, he became a Rhodes Scholar during the year. And we come in, I had a nice, good workout. We're coming out, and he said, Neil, how's it going? I'm a freshman. How's it going? I said, all my problem sets are kicking my butt. I barely have time to go to the bathroom. And he said, well, what was it you're majoring in again? I said, physics. And he says, well, and you want to do what with it? I said, I want to get a PhD in astrophysics. And you know what he said to me? By the way, what was he going to do with his Rhodes Fellowship at Oxford? He was going to explore the role of enterprise zones in inner city neighborhoods to empower those who are economically disenfranchised. Okay? He's black, by the way. So he turns to me and said, astrophysics. Then he says the following: the black community cannot afford the luxury of someone with your intellect to spend it on that subject. And I was devastated by that comment. Devastated. Now, he wasn't just anybody saying it. This is somebody who was walking the walk and talking the talk. And so I had no way out of that. He dug a hole and put me in the hole.
Did that ever happen to you, that somebody put you in a hole and made you think, oh, I am not part of the gang?
Absolutely.
Can you talk to us about that?
Was my HR director at the University of Applied Science where I work right now. And when she came in, she thought that she would control the whole HR, the whole process, and found out that the part that I was responsible for, which was the admin, that she had no control of, because I was part of another department. And so we always had this sort of, in our dealings with each other, we always had this sort of confrontational vibe. And I remember one time we were arguing over, I was trying to get my point across, and then she said to me, you know what, like this, you know what, that behavior that you're exhibiting right now, I find that is typical of people who have climbed the social ladder. And it may seem like nothing to somebody else, but I was so flabbergasted that I didn't respond. I just sat there and looked at her. And later on, I talked to my former director, and because what I had come to realize at that moment, or after reflecting on that moment, was that it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter whatever, but people are always going to assume stuff about me based on the color of my skin.
Right.
And like Neil deGrasse Tyson, what he described, you're in the hole and you don't get out of that hole anymore. Once you're in that hole, that's it. And that was for me the pivotal moment when I suddenly became very, very aware of not only that of my black skin, but also of what that means in a predominantly white society.
Right. Or in a society at large that takes its cue from the white world.
Yeah.
Because you probably get the same when you go to Australia or even China or you know?
Yeah, or even Suriname or Jamaica
Hmm.
or all over the place, because we are all indoctrinated with the idea that that white is superior.
Yeah. So that put you on the path of overstanding, is what we call it in Jamaica.
Yeah,
Uh,
great.
yeah, we don't
Yeah,
understand. We overstand.
overstand.
So how did that change you?
That was the start of a whole new process, because at the time I was studying business administration, and I was struggling with what I would write my thesis on. And this old HR director of mine, he said to me, "You know what? Um, with your skills and your intelligence and your experience, so many people could learn from that."
Hmm.
And that is when I decided to write my thesis on professional women and how they cope in a professional setting.
Yeah.
And that was a roller coaster experience for me, because what happens when you are in that hole is that you all of a sudden reevaluate experience that you had in the past and see them in a different light, and that was so depressing.
Hmm.
That there were moments that in during my thesis that I thought that I didn't want to go on with it. But I apparently made a quick. I adjusted, and by the end of my thesis, I was able to reflect on the whole process with a little bit of distance, and
Yeah.
that's what I got back from my teacher, my lecturer, that she said that she found that so amazing that I was able, in such a short period of time, able to
To
distance myself
adjust. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Did that woman ever read your thesis?
No, I no
No.
no
Oh. Well,
I
is she
I
is she still around, or have
no,
we
no, she's long gone. She's long gone, and
gone? Okay. Yeah.
I think I avoided her after that. I
Yeah. Yeah. But
didn't.
maybe in a
I'm not
way,
confrontational in that way.
I know.
Yeah.
And maybe in a way she did you a service. I'm just
Absolutely, she did me
hmm
service, because in the beginning I thought, "Oh my God, I don't want to see my life as such."
hmm
But I'm very grateful
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Now, exactly.
now. Yeah.
DJ Conscious is chuffed with you because he says big up for taking your convictions to the next levels. And a good friend of mine who was my guest a couple last year, Annemieke, she says, and we will comment on it without bashing her. She says, "I'm glad I was raised colorblind."
Hmm.
Now, can we, in a loving way, explain to Annemieke that colorblind isn't the way to be?
No, I think um, I think what Annemieke means by colorblind, maybe we could ask her herself, but what she means by colorblind is that what she means is that you do not um,
Judge.
judge. You do not judge, but real colorblind people do not see the color, and we do all see the color. The thing is, do not judge and do not make
Do not,
assumptions based on the color.
yeah.
And that's the thing, and and that's probably why we black people are a bit sensitive when people say that they're colorblind. But
Mhm.
I totally get where she's coming from, and I know how she means it. Yeah,
And so do I,
yeah,
Annemieke.
yeah.
So once again, we're not bashing you, but like Angélique says, we're a little bit delicate on that because, you know, that's what you see of us, and it's the outside, and your skin is your largest organ. So yes, yes, she said she meant
That
the color of the
yeah,
skin
the skin doesn't matter.
doesn't
Yeah,
right. That's we
yeah,
understood you, Annemieke, but we just took
absolutely.
this to explain this to people who might not know the difference. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, Angelique, take a little sidestep here because apart from being this career woman, you're also a world traveler, and we really, really need to take some time to talk about that. So take us from 1 to 5, quick, 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 because time is running.
Yes, one is on Aruba, you and me. There's a
Bonaire,
whole
yeah.
thing. Sorry, Bonaire. This whole you and me theme in this in this conversation. So the first one is you and me in Bonaire, and I went for my petty license there, my diving license, and we crossed around the island. The second one you corrected me was in Suriname, and was when we were in Suriname in
98.
'98. Yeah, and the third one is probably also in Suriname by the river.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I'm heading to
and
Suriname in 2 days, so
I
I'm going to
know, I know, I
re-experience
know.
it. Yeah, and
Absolutely. And the
number
fourth
four.
one is in Dubai, in the desert in Dubai, where we had a little excursion. And the fifth one was on Milford Sound, I think, and that's in New Zealand.
Music,
And
because
and
right
but
before COVID, you and your husband did this world tour. I'm so jealous.
yes,
So
we
that's
did.
those two last pictures, right?
You're right. Yeah.
What is it about travel, with him or without him, that excites you? What is it you love about traveling?
I like immersing myself in new sensations, new colors, new smells, new people, new cultures, and not yeah, that's what I like about travel. New
Yeah,
impressions, broaden my mind. Yeah.
yeah. For me, what also counts is being away from here. Does that in
Yes,
any
I
way work
know.
for you?
Um, Not necessarily. I'm not the same as you. That when I come back home, I'm glad I'm back home. I do notice the weird things about this country when I get home. I'm more aware of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm always happy to be home. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like being in my home. I'm not so
yeah,
sure I like being in my country, which is my
yes,
country, I must say.
yes.
Doesn't mean I cannot be
I
critical.
totally understand the subtleties in that comment. Yes,
Yeah. Good.
yeah,
Good. Good. So, all in all, a wonderful career, lots of travel. I think it's fair to say that you live quite a privileged life, and
absolutely.
you could continue your entire life, doing this and not seeing what goes on in the world. And yet, when I asked you to be my guest on this program, you said to me, you wrote me an email and you said, let's talk about the young women leading the fight. And you named 7 of them. And I have to be honest, I did not know them all, but I did find them all because I'm a journalist. So
Yes,
these 7 women, for some reason, have a story to tell, according to you. Let's go one by one, starting with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
yes.
Congresswoman in the United States. Why she? Why her?
Because she's so damn smart,
I
and
know.
because she is so capable of really putting privileged middle-aged guys on the spot, and uncovering their okay, here comes the anger, uncovering
Go ahead.
their
Go.
BS,
Mm-hmm.
and she does it in such a calm, and in that sense she reminds me a bit of Sylvana Simons, who has the same quality, who keeps calm but poses these excellent questions that you cannot
Ignore. Yes.
ignore.
Yeah. Sylvana Simons being a parliamentarian here in the Netherlands,
Yes,
the first Black woman to ever lead her
her
own
own
party
part.
into
Yes,
parliament
yeah, yeah,
against all odds.
yeah.
So, yes, that's Alexandria. You came up with Amanda Gorman, the poet.
Yes, yes. And what I like about Amanda is that she's also she's also an activist, but she does it in a different way. She does it through her art, and her art is spoken word. And I find it so amazing that such a young woman has this grasp of the language and is able to convey with words the stuff that I'm not even able to put into words,
Mhm.
and I really admire that in her.
Yeah. What would you
Yeah.
say is the main theme in her poem, in her poetry?
Well, she is she talks about inequality a lot, not so much climate, but inequality, and she also talks about the struggles of Black people a lot, and those are, I think, the themes that she talks about a lot. And she was inspired, for instance, by Toni Morrison, because she explained sometime that when she was growing up, she was more like what she knew called Anne of the Green Gables, until she got introduced to Toni Morrison's work, and saw herself in Toni Morrison,
Yeah.
and learned to give voice to that sentiment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's formidable. I mean, the world
she's
knows her
absolutely
from Joe Biden's inauguration when she
immigrated.
stood there.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Fantastic, Amanda.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's so
yeah.
much lovely work of hers to just Google it. Just Google Amanda,
Yes,
and you'll
yeah.
find her work. Then you came with Malala.
Yes, that Malala is is an example of a girl from a small village who so much wanted to learn that no matter what they confronted her with, she keeps on fighting, and she's absolutely a survivor. And her case is to me is a lot more remarkable than, for instance, AOC or Amanda Gorman, because she comes from a situation of lack of privilege, and in spite of that was able to well, rise to the top and
Yeah.
keep on fighting. And I really love that about her.
For
Yeah.
some reason, and I really cannot explain, there is something about Malala that really irritates me. Why? I don't know why. What do you say to that?
Well, I think maybe because she's saintly, and I think that is what irritates you. I'm not sure, but I can relate. She's saintly, like she is too good to be true. But
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and suddenly, I mean, that goes for most of the women that you came up with. But suddenly, we could not open the newspaper or put on the telly without seeing Malala, and maybe it was just a bit too much.
Maybe, but she's definitely there on my list. Not because what happened to her is something that happened to her, but what I admire about her is how she how she handled that situation and what she did afterwards.
Yeah,
I
a
mean,
quick reminder. What was her situation that
she she w-
what she came
she
out of?
she was an advocate for female education in Afghanistan,
Hmm.
and was shot in on a bus, hit in the head, and almost died, and was rushed to England, where she was operated on, and later on she got a scholarship to study at Oxford. And I mean, this girl from this small village in Afghanistan going to Oxford and actually completing her studies with honors, and so she is a remarkable woman.
She is, and she
And
did get the Nobel Peace Prize at some point,
yes,
I believe.
yes,
Yeah.
she did. Yes,
So
yes,
we cannot ignore Malala, and I know I must, cover up that feeling that I have. It's just something that's strong. But
yeah,
I understand her worth in the world. I really do. Up next is, of course,
yeah.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta.
Yeah, Greta. That
Yes,
is the way to
yes,
pronounce it. Well,
yes.
everybody knows who Greta is.
Well, not really. If
No,
you no, if I talk to young students in my class and I asked if they know who Greta Thunberg is, they don't.
they
And
don't.
we have this expectation that young people are concerned about the climate. They're not. At least not the students in my class, and so that's kind of shocking.
It
And to
is.
me, she's one of my heroes, because at this young age, and that goes for all the women dealing with the abuse that they have to deal with, and still keep on fighting, and still
Yeah.
amazing. I don't think I could do it.
I don't think I could
Yeah,
either. But
yeah,
maybe in this time, when it's easier to reach out to the world, it's easier to do this. But then it still needs to be in your character to just chuck your life away and work for the good cause.
Well, I think that the biggest challenge is perseverance.
Yeah.
It's going on and on and on in spite of the abuse that you suffer. And there was actually this report by the United Nations about online abuse against women, which is really really a big problem,
It is.
and they all have to deal with it.
They do. They do.
Yeah,
I mean, still in these
yeah,
times, yeah.
yeah.
Nina up next from Indonesia.
No, you got the wrong Nina.
I do.
Yes, you
Which
got the
Nina
wrong
did you
Nina.
mean? So
I
let's
meant what was her name again? Nina. She is from Ecuador. The Nina I meant. Nina
so
Gwalinga.
tell me about Nina Gwalinga. I don't have her
Well,
picture.
this one, Nina Gwalinga, is even more. She is from a remote place in the Amazon in Ecuador, in a small Indian village, and she went head to head with the company, the lumber company that came in and was destroying her
Her
home.
habitat,
And
yeah.
what I find amazing about this young woman is that coming from that background and still being able to survive on a global platform. God, I don't know how they do it. I really
I
don't know how
don't.
they do it.
Are they
The,
smarter than we were?
um, Maybe, I don't know. They have more information at their fingertips than we do,
Mm-hmm.
and they have better communication skills than we do probably,
Mm,
and more communication methods than we did. Um, but I think they're special. I
they
think
are.
I
They are.
think they're special. I
They,
I don't think you can deny that they are special people, special young women
yeah.
that use their
The
specialness for the good of all,
of
and that
all.
that is, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
what I
hope I
find.
got the right Tandile though. South
Yes, you got it
Africa.
right. You got the right, Dandile. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So who is she?
What can I say about Dandile? She is also advocating for women rights.
Mhm.
I do not know that much about her, especially because I was trying to find somebody from Africa,
Right.
and that's another thing I really want to mention, is that it's also a bit, I don't know how to explain that, but I have a little bit of trouble that people from certain parts of the world have a little bit more difficulty getting into the limelight and getting their message heard. So I know about Tandile because I was trying to find one, and but what I think is unusual about her is that she has an intersectional approach to the climate issue,
Mm-hmm.
and also about that people of color are impacted more than the white north, let's put it that way. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, that's her thing.
That's
Yeah,
her thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There are many. It's like you say. There are many activists in Africa that we never hear
no,
about, and so that it's
yeah,
hard to find one that you
yeah,
can actually put in the limelight.
yeah.
I hear you. And then of course you came up with Patrice.
Patrice, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, Patrice is not technically young anymore because she's in her late 30s, and
She's younger than we are.
she's absolutely younger than we are. And Patrice is one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matters,
Yeah.
and she has also had to deal with a lot of abuse,
Hmm.
and she has resigned from her position now, and I think she finished a second book, and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
she was the one who came up with the hashtag Black Lives BLM,
BLM. Right.
and
Yeah.
she's
Well,
one of the
that's
three co-founders of that movement. Yeah,
well, BLM certainly had its impact
yeah,
in
yeah,
world history. Yeah.
yeah.
So when you look at these women, okay, Nina is not the right Nina, but when you look at these young women, what would you say is the thing they have in common?
Like I said, is perseverance against all odds. I think that's what they have in common. Such a strong belief that they cannot remain inactive, and they are compelled to fight the fight every day. I think that's what they have in common.
And is it working? I mean, we know their names, we know their faces, most of them. But is their message really coming across? I mean, Black Lives Matter, yes, we all know the impact that had. But the work that these young women do you think it's actually working?
I don't know. Greta's outburst at the United Nations comes to mind, where rightfully so she accused all those powerful men of looking to her as I think she was 16 years old at the
16.
time, looking to her for hope, and she's like, "Shame on you! It's the
How
percentage
dare
of
you?
how dare you!"
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's working. I don't think
Mm.
it is working, and I think we're coming full circle, like we started at the beginning of this program. The only way this will work is if we get rid of patriarchy,
Yeah, yeah,
and if we somehow find a way to force those in power to make room for others.
right.
They don't
Yeah.
have to go. They don't have to leave. They just have to make a little bit room for others.
Just
That's
a
it.
tiny little bit more room
Yeah.
for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that there are some men who seem to understand this.
Yep.
I'd like to share with you a video of the British comedian Tom Walker, also known as Jonathan Pye. Have you ever heard of Jonathan Pye?
The name
So
sounds familiar, but I'm not. No.
okay, so what Jonathan Pye does is he acts as if he is a correspondent for the news, and they send him out to a thing, and he gives he starts giving the proper answer, and then he just starts ranting. And I thought I'd share one of his rants on stuff linked to the climate, because that's quite very topical right now. Here's Jonathan Pye.
The protest by the social justice group who call themselves the Extinction Rebellion has taken over Oxford Circus as well as many other London landmarks. The protest is estimated to have cost local businesses millions of pounds so far and has caused travel chaos for up to 500,000 people. Fuck off. Really? That's our angle, is it? Not the planet is in mortal danger. It's a better headline, Tim. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the news. Here's the news. Today, a bunch of crusties stinking of petunia oil are upset because the planet is dying. But worse than that, the protest has mildly disrupted shoppers trying to get to H&M to buy an item of fast fashion clothing that will end up in landfill in about a week. The government are doing nothing because the government is hardwired to protect animal farming corporations, oil companies, and anyone with more than £1 million in the bank before it protects its citizens and its environment. So when it comes to global warming, the media isn't going to deny it. We're merely going to present it in abstract terms, saying things like a temperature rise of up to 2 degrees Celsius by 2025, because that sounds almost pleasant and isn't going to cause a panic, which might make people curb their consumerism and demand that their leaders take action. Speaking of which, Environment Minister Michael Gove, a man with a face that looks like a mass extinction, said, "We've got the message." Have you got the message? Oh, that's all right then. Come on, guys, you can all go home now, because Michael Gove says the government has got the message. He also said that he understood that action needs to be taken. Well, when I was being taught about the greenhouse gases and the destruction of the rainforests when I was at school 25 years ago. To be fair, I wasn't really listening. I just discovered wanking. But what have you done in the preceding 25 years? Exactly when is this action going to be taken? Well, we've banned microbeads in face wash, so we're well on the way then. The headlines tonight: we are experiencing the 6th mass extinction in Earth's history, and it's not too late to do something about it. In other news, some Londoners had a hard time getting to work today.
Don't you wish actual journalism was slightly like this?
Slightly, yes. Yes, you
Yeah,
wish. Yeah.
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 Because
So, but
he
why not? Why isn't it like this?
I don't know, to be honest. This is why I became a journalist. I thought this was journalism. You go out and you find something wrong in the world and you report in it and you show your emotions and you try to get it changed. But that's not the way the news works.
No, it isn't. No.
No. I think he's brilliant. Jonathan Pye, go Google him.
I,
Yeah.
I I had actually seen this clip once
You
before. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Well,
So
there's a whole
yeah, yeah,
series of
yeah, yeah.
he's a great actor.
But he's not. He's an actor. He's actually not a journalist.
He's not a journalist. Actually he's
Okay,
a comedian.
he's a
He's a
comedian.
comedian,
Okay,
but this is his bread and butter these days to make these videos. Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So you yourself have been known to be somewhat of the activist, Angelique.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
you in Greece at the Olympic Stadium.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, tell us about this. Why did this picture came to
I don't
be?
know. I don't know. We were walking there and I saw that podium and it just happened. And
Yeah,
yeah.
it
And
reminds of those Black
Jesse Owen.
Americans,
Yeah.
Jesse
Jesse
Owen. Yes.
Owen. Yeah. In at the
Hmm.
Munich Games. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
do you actually go out? Yes, you do. You go out into the streets and you protest sometimes. What was
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
Well, this was a teacher protest about the work pressure, and the funny thing is that I was there with my colleague Joop, who was laughing at what I'm saying, or I don't know, and but it's there is this huge taboo in at least in my organization about stuff like that, and we were just a handful of teachers that went to Malieveld, and that was published in the school
Mm.
newspaper, and I had zero reactions from my colleagues. So it's
Zero.
not zero. It's not a topic that you that you discuss.
Why?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think people that go to universities of applied science don't consider themselves teachers. Maybe they consider themselves more professionals in the sense that they uh, work as professionals for as a lawyer or HR advisor or I don't know what it is. I don't know.
So you
It's
mean
really strange.
they're making money elsewhere and teaching on the side? Is that what you're saying?
A lot of people do that. Yes.
I
Yeah.
see. So they don't
Yeah.
really mind about the fate of teachers.
I don't. I don't know. They do mind about the fate of teachers because they complain about it all the time about how much work pressure there is. And I mean, I wasn't there for salary. There were. This was the first time that all levels of education were protesting at the same time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we were there from primary school up to university, and see, I do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Great.
it's yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's how it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
Um, I had a video planned for, but I'm gonna skip that because we're moving on to a different topic here. So, I know that you and I, one day we took a walk and we came to this palace that used to be, royalty used to live there. Now it's some kind of hotel kind of thing, right? But
Yeah.
that day we said to each other, Angelique, it's time that you and I get into a position like that and kind of switch things around. What what would be the first
Didn't work,
thing we
did
would
it?
tackle?
God, what would be the first thing we tackle? Um, it, wow, good question. Hmm. I think the first thing I would tackle is more of a more social policies.
More?
Yeah,
Like what?
like like taking care of each other. taking taking better care of the weak, taking better care of those in need, making sure that everybody has a livable income. I have this discussion with a journalist friend of mine, Michiel Zonneveld, who just asked me a couple of weeks ago if I was for het basisinkomen. For how do you call that? That everybody
Basic income. Everybody
has a
one
basis
income.
income.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, not actually, I have one aim, but basis income, and anything you do to earn more money, that's fine. But the basis income is for everybody, and that should be a livable wage. And
What did you tell him?
yes, I'm for. I'm
So am
absolutely
I.
for, because I don't know if you saw that VVD poster that said people who work hard do not deserve to have money problems,
Exactly.
and I wanted to get out of my pen and say nobody deserves to have
Nobody
money problems,
deserves. Right.
and the idea that they think there are people out there that do not work, have money problems, could work but don't. I mean, come
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
So
that's
you,
so absurd.
it's very absurd, but it's very persistent. But are you saying you'd be in favor of, let's call it socialism?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
I
can
am.
relate to that because I certainly, I have this life in Jamaica, and there, that's all I can think of. Proper socialism, like you say, everybody can eat and drink and have a roof over their head, and if you're willing and able, both willing and
Yep.
able
Yep.
to make more money, go for it. But the money that you get from all of us, because we'd all be contributing to that, would be enough to be alive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I am actually a liberal at heart.
Yeah.
But what the liberals of today have forgotten is that a big part of liberalism is taking care of each other, and we forgot about that. So now it's only me,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as I'm doing well, I don't give a you know what.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Capitalism is inherently unfair because in order for one to get rich, it means that others, and usually a huge number of others, stay in poverty or do the hard work to make that person rich. So the older I get, the more I shift to the left,
Mm-hmm.
and the more I see that there is a need for us as human beings to take care of each other.
Yeah. I think that's how human beings were designed. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Why? Because we see this shift in the entire world. We see this craze for power, for billions in the bank, and for really spoiled behavior. If you ask me, I mean, if you look at the big money people in the world, they're all crazy, and they're all about their own fun in life and their bank account. When did that happen, and how did it happen?
I think it happened with urbanization.
With
Before that,
urbanization?
yes,
How?
it because we are as a people, we used to live in small communities where everybody knew each other and took care of each other, had to take care of each other, because if one was incapacitated,
Hmm.
it had an effect on others in the group. And when we got groups that were growing and growing and growing, and all of a sudden you didn't know anybody anymore, then
Hmm.
that's when individualism, according to me, reared its ugly head, and look where we are right now. I think it has everything to do with the way we all live anonymous lives, and as long as you live an anonymous life, you don't have to care or know or be aware of the person living 20 kilometers further on suffering.
Suffering. At the beginning of the pandemic, it kind of looked as if people re-understood the need to reach out to their neighbors, to their parents, to somebody across the street, and actually ask them, "Are you okay? Do you need anything from the store or whatever?" And I had this vain hope at the time that this would catch on again, and we'd re-understand that. but
You
it's
bounce right
gone.
back. You
It
bounce
bounced
right
right
back.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So are
So
we doomed?
are we doomed? We probably are. I don't think I don't I think as a human race we are doomed because I don't believe that they are going to turn around whatever is happening to the climate, and I think uh, parts of the earth are going to become increasingly inhabitable, and we're going to have a lot of migrant issues here, and people are going to fight each other, and maybe even a world war is going to break out. I don't know, but I am not optimistic.
You are not.
No,
But we
which
do
doesn't
read.
mean which doesn't mean that I give up, but I'm not optimistic.
But you must leave us with something more uplifting than this, Angelique. Look at the clock. We're about to round up. We're not gonna all not sleep tonight.
Oh God. Yeah. As long as um I think as long as there are young women that keep standing up and fighting, I think um, we might
There
get
is hope.
somewhere. There is hope.
Yeah,
Because, people should know by now that if women rise up, there really is something going on. And
yeah,
it pays to listen.
yeah.
And yeah, maybe that. If these young women are putting their head on the block on a daily basis, who am I to say that it's not working? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's
think you're
it.
right. I think you're right.
And I hope that we reach this pivotal moment where enough is enough, and everybody's everybody realizes that we cannot continue in this way, and that even
Mm.
those very rich people should change, because if we're all doomed, they're doomed as well. If we're not there to work for them, how are they going to make their money?
I wonder if they realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they'll find out if we all drop dead, they're going to drop dead because they never learned to do a thing. They always had their slaves, or they had their women, or they had their children to do stuff for them. Mind you, men. Yes. Angelique, we're slightly over time, and I think this is the time where I have to tell our viewers that the next edition of this program will be on April the 28th, which happens to be the day of departure, I call it. It's when Aisha, our youngest sister, left this earth. And
Yes.
because I'll be traveling the next couple of weeks, I've decided to do a special on Aisha next month, on
Great.
April the 28th. And I invite anybody who ever knew her to join in and share memories of her on the day that we lost her 12 years ago. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Aisha's life and share some of the great thing that she did, because it's a great shame that she is not in this time. I think she would have known how to deal with certain stuff. Do you agree, Angelique?
Yes, I do. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yes,
What do you think
she's
she could have meant to us now?
Aisha was always optimistic, always there for other people. I think that's what we miss.
Yeah,
I think we're missing a little bit the glue of our existence.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I hope you get a chance to check in on it next month, and maybe even join in. And to end this program, let's do a very short recap. What would you say is the difference between Angelique in '97 and Angelique now?
Uh, the last thing, I think Angelique now is more aware, and
Mm-hmm,
Angelique in '97 didn't have a clue. Was just
mm-hmm.
living her life, and yeah, I think that's the main difference.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you were to do it over, what would you do?
I don't know if I would necessarily want to be aware more earlier on, because there's a certain relaxation to not being aware all of the time of the color of your skin and how people look at you and stuff. So I I don't know if I would do things differently. I had a lot of fun before I was aware.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because being aware as if it's fun, people always,
Yeah.
then they go tell you you're woke and woke is bad. And
Oh, come on, Olive, please,
No,
please.
we're not
I
gonna
get
go there.
I get so angry that people misuse that term. I get
Yes, but
so angry, and
the
they don't know
people
what
in
they're
high
talking
places,
about. I
they
mean,
don't know.
there was life and death situation,
Yes.
you know, and then oh God, yeah,
I know. It's
I
just
hate it.
another way to put us in our place, but
I
we
know.
don't let
Yeah.
ourselves be put into any place we don't choose, do we?
No, we don't. They can
No,
go,
we
you
don't.
know what, themselves.
Let them and enjoy it if they wish. And if they don't,
Hey,
no skin off my back. Yeah. Angélique, we're
oh,
going to round up for many
yeah,
different reasons. I run out of pictures. It's time to,
yeah, to let those people go.
let those people go. Oh, here's Mel. He learned a lot about you today. He said today. That's great,
Yeah,
Mel. Thank you for watching.
thank you.
I'm gonna play out with just something to humor myself. Did you ever watch Downton Abbey?
Yes, I did.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
I love. Do you remember the theme song of Downton Abbey?
Probably if I hear it, but it doesn't come to mind.
It doesn't. Well, it will in just a little minute. I found Bill Bailey, who is another a UK comedian. He loves Downton Abbey, and what he did is he revamped the tune, and he inserted little snippets from the program. It's totally hilarious. I'm going to play
Okay.
out with that in just a little moment. Not before I thank you so much for taking all this time and
Yeah.
for being my guest, Angélique. Did you enjoy
And
it?
I did absolutely, and I want to thank Fee and Clau and all those people and Adrienne and Melvin
Yes.
and DJ Conscious and everybody and Annemieke and everybody who was there for taking the time out.
Taking the time out,
Yeah,
exactly. And for those who tuned in late, let me remind you that this will always remain online. Just go to PocaTV on YouTube, check out the live videos, and look for this specific episode. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Angélique, for being with me.
thank you for inviting me.
It was a big pleasure. I loved preparing for this because it's funny how you can still learn new things from your sister even after you've known each other all your life.
I know, but when do you have the time to have a conversation of an hour and a half on issues?
Only on Poca
Only
TV
on
Live.
Poca TV Live.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be in touch soon.
Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was my sister, Angélique. I am so proud of her. So yes, people, I'm going to play out with that Bill Bailey revamp of the Downton Abbey tune. It is hilarious. At least I think it is. Have fun with it. And I'll see you on April the 28th for that special about Aisha. Until such time, be good, be nice, sir. Stay well, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
I can't actually play you the theme tune, obviously from copyright issues. I have to do a kind of a sneaky version of it. Sounds roughly right. But the thing is, I prefer the Jamaican dub reggae version.
Rolling musical disc.
I wouldn't fight the idea of a second footman, milady. You're too tall to be a footman. No footman should be over 6'1".
Me 5'9". Check it.
El Rasta!
Have you done something jolly with your hair?
lobster, duck, or asparagus? Give me the lobster, man. Me no want no asparagus. Teaspoon, egg spoon, milk spoon, grapefruit spoon, jam spoon. Teaspoon, egg spoon, milk spoon, grapefruit spoon, jam spoon.
What kind of spoon is this?
A bouillon spoon. Me knew it was a bouillon spoon. Me knew it was a bouillon spoon. A bouillon spoon. Me knew it was a bouillon spoon. May I ask why you are holding Lady Sybil's biscuit jar?
Ja, Rastafari.
Rastafari!